Hello students, welcome to the solution video of Cyclic Test 2. The subject that we're going to discuss is commercial studies. This was a 30 marks paper and the time allotted to you was 1 hour for completion, right? Now students, the portion that was included in the test was 2 chapters from your textbook, that is consumer protection and marketing and sales. Now you saw the paper and you realized that you've seen that there are 2 sections in this paper. The section A that constituted, since it was a 30 marks paper, it constituted for only one main question, that is question 1, but it had 5 sub questions. Question 1A, B, C, D, E. Now each of these sub questions constituted for 2 marks each, right? Now the next part or the next section of your paper was section B. Section B, however, constituted for 3 main questions, question 2, question 3, question 4. Now, each of these main questions constituted of 2 sub-questions, each of 5 marks. So, your section B had 3 questions comprising of 30 marks. However, you were only expected to answer or solve 2 questions out of them, which means you were only expected to solve for 20 marks under section B. And under section A, you do not have any such option. You have to compulsorily solve all the questions. And so let's go about and start solving the paper. Students, when you start solving the paper, you first write the section on top. So since we are solving section A first, we'll write section A on top very clearly, and then go about and write the question number and the sub-question number. So question 1A will start with define marketing. Now students, it is very clearly given that you are expected to write the definition of marketing, which means that you will not write this answer in your own words. You can choose any definition that you wish to write from the textbook. There is no compulsion as to learning any one particular definition. You can choose whatever is easier for you to understand and learn and write it down. Right? So we've taken the example over here, we've taken William Stanton's definition. Now when you write the definition answer, you will start with according to and then mention the name of the person who's given the definition. So here in this case, it is according to William Stanton, and then the definition must be always in inverted commas since we are quoting the person, and therefore the definition has to be exactly word to word. Each word has to be the same as it is given in your textbook. You cannot amend or change anything in this definition according to your liking. So if you remember these 3 points that I just mentioned, mention the name of the person who's given the definition, put inverted commas for the definition, or write your definition in inverted commas, and thirdly, mention everything word to word and no change here and there, then you have very rightfully earned your 2 marks. You will get full 2 marks for this question. Now moving on to the next question, what is meant by pricing? Now students, this answer you're expected to write the meaning of pricing, which means you do not write the definition given to you by anybody that's there in your textbook. You can choose to write this answer even in your own words, but if you don't find it comfortable to frame your own answer, it is always better that you refer to the textbook and take help of the textual explanation. You can write maximum 2 to 3 sentences to give your explanation. Moving to the next question, that is question 1C. Define consumer awareness. Again, this is a definition that you have to write. You can write the definition in the same way that I told you to write. Now here it is not mentioned that way, but make sure that in your paper you write it exactly the same way. But in your textbook, if it's not given, if the name of the person is not given, then you can write it as it is. But remember, it has to be word to word. Since it is a definition, it has to be word to word. But if the person's name is not given, there's no need to write according to, and there's no need to put it in inverted commas. The next thing, or the next question, that is question 1D, is what are consumer associations? Again, this is a question where it is asking you to write the meaning of consumer association, and therefore you can go ahead and write in your own sentence, in your own words. You can add explanations that you wish to add according to whatever you understood of the concept. You can also add sentences or words from the textbook. You can also add examples if you wish to. Likewise, the next question, what is consumer exploitation? Again, it is the meaning that they are asking you for, so you can write it in your own words, and you can write the explanation and also include examples, right? So we've done with the section A. Now all of these questions, if you have correctly written and you have written the definition like I told you, by using these 3 tips, keeping in mind these 3 tips to write the explanation, and have written the meaning and nicely explained the meaning, and you've included all the things that are supposed to be there in an answer. You've done full justice to the answer, then you will earn full 10 marks in this section. The next is section B. So when you start solving the next section, you will take it to a new page. You will not continue it on the same page where you left off or where you stopped with your last question of section A. So next question, again, you will write the name of the section B, write the question number and the sub-question number. Now again, since we have an option, it is not necessary that you solve question 2A only, right? So whatever question you solve, just remember to put the question number and sub-question clearly. It is very important, students, that you mention those. Now since we are solving all the questions in this, we'll start with question 2A. Yes? So the question 2A is explain some of the ways how consumers are exploited by manufacturers and traders. Now students, when you start any answer like this, when the question is asked like this, apart from meaning and definition, how do you start answering? You will use the words from the question itself. So you start this answer by stating some of the ways of consumers are exploited by manufacturers and traders are, and then write your main answer. You will not directly start with your main answer. You will use the words to frame a sentence from the question itself. That is how you start your answer, like the ways in which the consumers are exploited by manufacturers and traders are, and then go about and start writing your main answer in points, right? Now points means it should not be just sentences, 5 sentences. It has to be 5 headings, suitable explanation to those headings, right? Those headings have to be underlined, explanation has to be good, it has to explain fully what the heading is trying to suggest, right? And also, since it is a brief answer, since the question is asked for 5 marks, you will write 5 points for 5 marks. Now moving on to the next question, that is question 2B. Question 2B is explain the salient features of Consumer Protection Act, right? Again, you will take the sentence, you will frame a sentence by taking the words from the question itself. So you will write the yes. So the salient features of Consumer Protection Act are, and then go about and write 5 headings and their suitable explanation. Since it's for 5 marks, you have to write 5 headings and their 5 explanations. Moving on to the next main question under section B, that is question number 3. Write a brief note on consumer rights. Now students, again, you will write the sentence, you will write the heading, and you will write the explanation. 5 marks, since it is for 5 marks, you will write 5 points, right? The next question is question 3B. Distinguish between marketing and sales. Now students, we have a new question in front of us. It is a question where you have to write the distinguish or the difference between marketing and sales. Now remember students, the question has to be answered always in a table format. Whenever a distinguished question or a difference between question is asked to you all will always write in a table format. If you write it in the way or the format that I explained you earlier, or the earlier question always written, that is you write a heading and an explanation, or you write it in paragraph format, then it is not acceptable. You may lose marks. So it is advisable that you write the distinguish between or the difference between answer always in a table format. Also, the basis of distinction has to be written, and then the distinguishing points have to be written again. The distinguishing points cannot be in 1 or 2 words. It has to be in a sentence format. For example, the first basis of distinction is scope. right? Now the point or the distinguishing point for marketing, you cannot just write wider term and sales narrow term. You have to write the complete sentence. You will say marketing is a wider term, sales is a narrow term. So you convert it into a sentence even if there is one word given in your textbook, right? So since again it is for 5 marks, you will write 5 distinguishing points and 5 basis of distinction. Okay, students, so there are 3 things that you have to keep in mind while attempting a difference between questions. First of all, basis of distinction has to be there. The answer must always be in a tabular format, right? And thirdly, the distinguishing points between the two concepts must always be in the sentence format. Now, moving on to the next question. Also remember, students, each new main question must be on a new page, right? So this is a new question, that is question number 4, right? So you'll take it on a new page, write the question number, write the sub-question, question 4A. What is a product, and explain the difference between products and services. Now here, students, there are 2 subparts, right? There are 2 parts to one question. First of all, you have to attempt the first part, that is, you have to write the meaning of product, and then attempt the second part of the question, that is, you have to write the difference between products and services. Now, remember, just because there are 2 subparts, you will not assume that the difference between only 4 points have to be written. Even after writing the meaning or the first part of the question, you will still write 5 distinguishing points, right? Please do not assume that the product is for the meaning of the product is for 1 mark and the distinguishing points is for 4 marks. You will write the meaning as well as the distinguishing points, all 5 distinguishing points, right? Now, what is the product? You will write the meaning. You can give examples as well. Now, the next part of the question, that is the difference between, like I told you, I'm again repeating it. You have to keep in mind 3 things. First of all, the basis of distinction has to be there. Second of all, the distinguishing points has to be in a sentence format. Like for example, if you see over here, it's given in just words. It's not complete sentence, right? So this is not acceptable. You cannot write like this in your answer paper. You may lose marks. So it is advisable that you convert this into a sentence. How will you convert it into a sentence? For example, basis of distinction, tangibility, and the product, you will write the sentence. A product is fully tangible. It can be felt and touched. It can be fully standardized, right? Under services, you will write service is intangible. It may have physical evidence. It cannot be touched, nor can be standardized. Likewise, moving or jumping on to the second last point, inventory. Here, see, it is just given can be stored, cannot be stored. You will not write it like that. You will convert it into a sentence, like I said. So you say product can be stored and services cannot be stored. So these 3 points you have to keep in mind, and if you remember to write your answer, keeping in mind these 3 points or the tips that I have given you, you will score full 5 marks. Very easy. The next and the last question of this paper is question 4B, right? So the question is, explain the various objectives of pricing. Now again, students, like I mentioned before, you will take the words from your questions and frame a sentence first, and the various objectives of pricing are, and then start writing your main answer. Since it's a 5-mark question, you will have 5 header points. Underline those header points, write proper suitable explanation to each of those 5 header points, and then you have your answer ready, right? So students,